Good evening, everyone, and welcome to our Mobile, Alabama studios for the 2019 Ditka Cup Selection Show. I'm Commissioner Bill Hurt. Now, just a short while ago, the Ditka Cup home office finalized this year's keepers from its 12-member teams. As a reminder, each team is allowed to keep up to 2 players, with each costing a draft pick correlating to their previous year's draft round. Let's not waste any time, and let's unveil this year's Ditka Cup Keeper Class. We begin in the North Quadrant of the Butkus Division. These home matchups to be played in Allen County, Kentucky, Georgetown, Kentucky, and unincorporated Auburn. And in the number 1 spot, it's Third Down Thunder. What do you get when you combine former Ditka Cup champions Rob Herbst and Jeff Woods? You get Robert Woods, the number 10 wide receiver in the Ditka Cup last year. And Third Down Thunder goes with another wide receiver in Alshon Jeffrey, but not Antonio Brown, who had been with Third Down Thunder since 2013. Apparently he got cold feet. And over in Georgetown, Kentucky, Fliggity hopes to get over the hump after falling in the Ditka Cup finals the past 2 years. It may have seemed like a bold first-round pick last year in the Ditka Cup, but it proved to be the right pick for Flack, as Christian McCaffrey was the number 3 running back in the Ditka Cup last season. And tight end Travis Kelce's the best tight end in the Ditka Cup after a 10-touchdown season last year, but none of those touchdowns came in the semifinals or the finals of the Ditka Cup. And we round out the quadrant in beautiful unincorporated Auburn with Jude's Boys. Costing only an 8th-round draft pick, Sony Michel gives Jude's Boys a nice running back at a cheap price. And pop quiz, who was the number 2 Ditka Cup quarterback behind Patrick Mahomes last year? It was actually Matt Ryan with 4,900 passing yards, 35 touchdowns, and only 7 interceptions. There's the scene from Jude's Boys' watch party at Federal Grove. The fans wondering why they didn't keep Juju Smith-Schuster. And let's make it an all-Kentucky Butkus division as we head to the South Quadrant and these home matchups to be played in Bowling Green, Kentucky, Prospect, Kentucky, and Russellville, Kentucky. And let's see who's going to be scooting over to Bowling Green to be a rock star this year. Amazingly, Julio Jones didn't have a receiving touchdown until Week 9 of the Ditka Cup last year, but still ended up being ranked the league's 5th best receiver. Patrick Mahomes took the league by storm last year with 50 touchdown passes. Couple that with the cheap 11th round draft pick cost and Melvin Gordon's contract holdout, means Westwood had no problem saying, "Take a hike" to Melvin Gordon. Let's find out who's staying in Prospect, Kentucky with Bring Andy Home. Injuries have slowed down quarterback Carson Wentz the past 2 seasons, but the talent and a 10th round draft pick cost were too much for Woods to pass up. Tight end George Kittle had a whopping 1,377 receiving yards last year. That made this pick a no-brainer for Woods. And let's wrap up the Butkus division in Russellville, Kentucky with my man Hassan Jones. Despite having to share playing time with Mark Ingram last year, Alvin Kamara was the number 4 ranked running back in the Ditka Cup last season. There's no Mark Ingram in NOLA in 2019, so that might mean huge things for Kamara this season. And Kerryon Johnson was on his way to a terrific rookie campaign last year before a season-ending knee injury. Too bad for my man, he has to play the Bears twice. And those are your Butkus Division keepers. Before we unveil the Peyton Division keepers, let's have a word from our sponsor.
You measure quality in dollars, I can't. That's why I drive Toyota. Take the Toyota Camry. Over 5 years owning a Camry will save you over $2,700 versus Ford Taurus. Or Toyota's 4x4. It'll save you nearly $2,400 versus Ford Ranger. Now, I'm not picking on Ford, but that's Toyota quality. Your Chicagoland Northwest Indiana Toyota dealer will save you money right now.
We'll make your deal.
Start saving today with these guys.
And welcome back. Let's jump right into it with the North Quadrant of the Peyton Division. These home games to be played in Elmhurst, Illinois, Fort Myers, Florida, and Towson, Maryland. Leading it off is Nick Josephs and the world champion Cubs. Tyreek Hill was the number 1 wide receiver in the Ditka Cup last year with 1,479 yards and 12 touchdowns, and he's also a swell guy. He's also the Cubs' only keeper this year as Nick Josephs elects to go with just 1 guy. And down in sunny Florida, it's TGD. Le'Veon Bell torpedoed TGD to the worst season in Ditka Cup history last year, but apparently Ben Idle can forgive and forget. And is Ben drinking too much purple Kool-Aid, or will Kirk Cousins improve on an only so-so 2018 when he was only the 12th ranked quarterback in the Ditka Cup? And let's head on over to the Baltimore area and see what's up with the Towson attack. A rough finish to the season didn't prevent Brandenburg from keeping a certain Ram, but we're not talking about Todd Gurley, it's Brandon Cooks. And James White's a unique running back who had more receiving touchdowns than rushing touchdowns, but still added up to 12, and that's pretty good for a 13th rounder. Aaron Rodgers just finding out the news that Cooks and White are in, so he's out. Oh, rats. And we wrap it all up with the South Quadrant of the Peyton Division. These home matchups to be played in some place called Lanesville, Indiana, Russellville, Kentucky, and Mobile, Alabama. And let's begin with Southern Indiana's finest, Cashman. Keeping Saquon Barkley the number 2 ranked running back last year despite being a rookie seemed like a no-brainer move for Cashman. As did keeping the number 2 wide receiver, DeAndre Hopkins. And what will Russellville's number 1 son, John Brett Reynolds and Taggart's Titans do? Wide receiver Mike Evans last year was a bit feast or famine with 700-plus yard games, but also 5 games with under 60 yards. And running back Chris Carson was quietly really good down the stretch last year with 6 touchdowns in his final 6 games and 10-plus points in all 6 of those contests. And let's close it out with your 2018 Ditka Cup champion, the Herbst Heroes. Some might have wondered if the Herbst Heroes would move on from Ezekiel Elliott because of his contract situation. He's a royal pain, but he's a royal talent. And running back James Conner is arguably the keeper class's best value. He was last year's number 6th ranked running back, but cost only a 13th round draft pick. And there's your 23-person Ditka Cup class. It includes 4 quarterbacks led by Patrick Mahomes and Carson Wentz. Your 10 running backs, Saquon Barkley, Le'Veon Bell, Ezekiel Elliott, Alvin Kamara, and Christian McCaffrey leading the way. And your 7 wide receivers, highlighted by Tyreek Hill and DeAndre Hopkins. And of course, the 2 tight ends, Travis Kelce and George Kittle. And who's bubble bursted this year? Well, the running backs are led by Todd Gurley and Joe Mixon. Wide receivers, Devontae Adams, Odell Beckham, and then maybe the biggest surprise, Juju Smith-Schuster. And your quarterbacks, Andrew Luck, Aaron Rodgers, and Deshaun Watson. Well, that's going to do it here from our Mobile, Alabama studios and the Ditka Cup Keeper Selection Show. Just a reminder, the process to pick draft positions will begin Tuesday afternoon, and then, of course, Sunday night, August 25th at 8:30 p.m., the Ditka Cup Draft. We'll see you then. Good night, everyone.